In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Hello, Secondary 2, my dear students. I'm Mr. Mohamed Sayed. I hope you are all fine. Today, I'm going to present you a very important revision on Units 9 and 10. I hope it will be useful and rewarding for you. And before we start our revision, you have to revise the words of Units 9 and 10. Then revise the main points of Grammar 9 and 10. So let's start. And I'm going to start with Unit 9, entitled Conservation. And the learning objectives of Unit 9 are: number 1, know some information about how people cooperate to conserve the environment. Number 2, read the advert for volunteer conservation projects quickly. Then students work in pairs to learn about a native community's culture. Number 3, work in pairs to complete the mind map with the possible benefits and the problems of conservation volunteer trips. Number 4, listen to a news report about conservation on the Red Sea coast in Egypt. And the most important words are: number 1, biodiversity. Biodiversity means the existence of a large number of different kinds of animals and plants which make a balanced environment. Number 2, preservation. Preservation means the act of keeping something in its original state or in good condition. Number 3, species. Species means a group into which animals, plants, etc., that are able to breed with each other. Number 4, challenging. Challenging means difficult in an interesting way that tests your ability. Number 5, volunteer. Volunteer means a person who does a job without being paid for it. Third, for volunteer conservation project. A, New Zealand. Come to New Zealand and help us preserve the country's unique biodiversity. You will plant trees so that endangered birds have a far better environment to live in. You will also help us to monitor changes in a variety of plant species in different areas. Another slightly more challenging task is cleaning beaches and helping to run recycling centers where local people can bring their waste. B, Thailand. Here in Thailand, we are involved in caring for elephants who used to take tourists on rides around big cities. You will monitor these elephants' progress as they start their new lives in the forest to make sure that they are healthy and happy. These unique and beautiful creatures love to play with our volunteers almost as much as they love having a path in the river with them. See, Brazil. Brazil is well known for its amazing biodiversity. However, the native inhabitants of the Amazon face exactly the same threat as the rainforests. They are also fighting for their survival. You can help the native inhabitants to preserve their languages in digital form for future generations. What is more, you can apply for a scholarship for the costs of this task. Let's move to the evaluation. Choose two correct answers out of the five options given. Number one, there's a need for the conservation of rainforests. The synonym of conservation are, of course, the first one is protection. The second one is preservation. Number two, international travel can be a rewarding adventure. The antonyms of rewarding are, I think the correct answers are worthless and useless. Choose a correct answer from A, B, C, or D. Choose only one. Number three, the scientists are going on in space. The architect. I think the correct answer is expedition. Number four, the walk across the desert. Space, but we enjoyed it. Of course, it's challenging. Number five, this forest is very good for its variety of space living in it. Of course, this forest is very good for its variety of biodiversity. Number six, the rainforests of Brazil's Atlantic coast are the world's richest in biodiversity, of course. Number seven, the space inhabitants of the Amazon face exactly the same threat as the rainforests. The native inhabitants. Number 8. Riham won a space to study at London. Of course, Riham won a scholarship. Number 9. What space of animal is that? I don't recognize it. Of course, what species of animal is that? Number 10. We must space our natural environment. We must preserve our natural environment. 11. I have good news. My sister has won a space to Oxford University. My sister has won a scholarship. Number 12. I'm happy to get such a RAN space job in the new administrative capital. Of course, a rewarding job. Number 13. When I heard him speaking such broken English, I knew he was not a space American. I knew that he was not a Native American. Number 14. Philosophers use logic to space their arguments. They use logic to prove their arguments. 15. All the shops were closed, and the space we couldn't buy any food, and consequently. Number 16. Smoking can space to lung cancer. Smoking can lead to lung cancer. 17. The most important thing is to go into the exam feeling positive. Number 18. Many states sent money to help the victims of the famine. Many charities, of course. Number 19. My grandmother often puts fruit in jars with lots of sugar to preserve them. Number 20. This space of bird now exists only in Africa. This species. Number 21. The rainforests of Brazil's Atlantic coast are rich in, of course, are rich in biodiversity. And now I'm going to revise grammar unit 9. Write sentences using used to and didn't used to. We use used to plus infinitive to say that something happened frequently during a period in the past. For example, I used to rent a flat, but now I own one. Number two, he used to send letters to his friends, but now he sends emails. Number three, he used to be a driver, but now he isn't. The negative form. The negative form of used to, didn't used to plus infinitive. For example, we didn't used to meet on Fridays. Now we do. Number two, Mona didn't used to get up early, but now she does. Four, did your father used to go to school on foot? Or we can say, what did you used to do when you were little? Answer from A, B, C, or D. Number one, idle space go canoeing on the river on Fridays. Idle used to. Number two, my father used to space football as a ball. My father used to play. Number three, I don't walk to work every day now. When I was younger, I used to walk to work every day. Number four, I used to play tennis when I was young. Number five, we used to live in a small flat. Nowadays, we don't. Number seven, did your grandfather space in a bank when he was younger? Of course, the correct answer is, did your grandfather used to work? Number eight, I used to play tennis a lot. but I don't play very much now. Number 9. David space a lot of money on clothes. These days he can't afford it. David used to spend a lot of money on clothes. Number 10. Do you go to the cinema much? Not now, but I used to. Number 11. When the weather was bad, I would stay home and read stories. Number 12. I've started drinking coffee recently. I never spaced it before. I used to like it before. Number 13. Ahmed used to travel a lot, but he spaces away much these days. Ahmed used to travel a lot, but he doesn't go away much these days. Number 14. Lisa spaced very long hair when she was a child. Lisa used to have. I'm going to revise Unit 10 entitled The News. The learning objectives of Unit 10 are: number 1, by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to know some information about how hard the reporter's job is. Number 2, work in pairs to match the words to their definitions in student's book, page 42. Number 3, answer and match the headings to the stories after reading the news stories in student's book, page 43. Number 4, look at the sentences in student's book, page 45, from the news stories, and underline the events which came first in each sentence to check the past simple and the past perfect. And the most important words are: number 1, reporter. A reporter means a person who collects and reports news for newspapers, radio, or television. Photographer. Photographer is a person who takes photographs, especially as a job. Broadcast as a noun. Broadcast means a radio or television program. Editor. Editor means a person who is in charge of a newspaper, magazines, etc., and who decides what should be included. Fact checker. Fact checker means a person who checks the facts about a topic or crime. Choose two correct answers out of the five options given. Number 1. We should buy food from a reliable shop. The synonyms of reliable are, I think the correct answer are: dependable means reliable, and trustworthy. Number 2, Mohamed Salah is a professional footballer. The antonyms of professional are, I think the correct answers are: unprofessional And the second one is amateur. Choose a correct answer from A, B, C, or D. Choose only one. Number one. And space is trying to discover who caused the accident. Of course, an investigator. Number two. Police finally arrived at the space of the crime, the scene of the crime. Number three. The space questioned him and took his fingerprints. Of course, the investigator. Number four. In the first space of the film, the camera moves slowly across the room in the first scene of the film. Number 5. The sports magazine space was El Ahly wins the African Champions League. Of course, the correct answer is the title. Number 6. Our space in South Africa sent this report. I think our correspondent. Number 7. The TV space was broadcasting a boring talk show. The correct answer is the TV channel. Number 8. Fruit. Fruit is a convenient space of vitamins and energy. Of course, fruit is a convenient source of vitamins and energy. Number 9. Job space are severely limited at the moment. Of course, job opportunities. Number 10. It took the space several hours to extinguish the flames. Of course, it took the firefighters. Number 11. If you want to find out some information on the internet, use a good search engine such as Google. Number 12. What's a space of the information you use to write your essay? What's the source? And now, let's move to Grammar Unit 10, the news. And the learning objectives of Unit 10, especially in grammar. Write sentences using the past perfect and the past perfect passive. Number 2, use the past perfect had plus past participle to talk about things that happened before another action in the past. Past simple tense. The past simple tense shows that you are talking about something that has already happened. The past simple tense means actions started and ended in the past. For example, at the age of 7, my parents took me to Jordan. At the age of 7, I was taken to Jordan by my parents. The last time I saw the Cairo Tower was in 2015. That means I last saw the Cairo Tower in 2015. And that also means I saw the Cairo Tower 6 years ago. Number two, the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense expresses actions in the past before another action in the past. For example, after he had done his homework, he watched television. Or I can say, after doing his homework, he watched television. Or we can say, having done his homework, he watched television. Another example, he parked his car as soon as he had found the place. Choose a correct answer from A, B, C, or D. Number one. The woman had phoned for a taxi before her friends, of course, arrived. The first action is had phoned, and the second action is arrived. Number two. I had finished my work before space break, before followed by gerund. So the correct answer is before taking a break. Number three, the boy took photos after the police spaced the scene. The boy took photos after the police had left the scene. The first action had left, and the second action is took. Number four, the scientist informed the press after space a new plant species after discovering. Number five, when Sheikh Sabah died in 2020, he spaced Kuwait for 14 years. He had ruled Kuwait for 14 years. The first action is had ruled, the past perfect tense. And the second action is died, the past simple tense. Number six. The editor spaced all the headlines before he sent the stories to the printers. Of course, the editor had checked, and the first action had checked, and the second action is sent. Number seven. The investigators looked into the origin of the disaster once the fire space by the firefighters, once the fire had been put out by the firefighters. At the end of our session, I hope you have been very well informed. May Allah bless you. Please study hard and you will achieve the best marks. Thank you. Goodbye.